Jokedealersinc presents Hot 5 with comedian Tone X.
Butt-ass, naked, damn monkey running around the jungle. My son talking about, daddy, is it a boy monkey or a girl monkey? I don't know. Because he ain't got no print. How the hell you butt naked and don't have a print? Because he got it tucked and taped. You understand? I stay in Atlanta. I know all about the tuck and tape. You hear me? That's why if you take your ass to Atlanta, sir, make sure you check the Adam's apple first. You understand? To hell with that ass. You look at that Adam's apple first. For your ass be on Twitter with that hashtag, I didn't know, okay?
I know when my man in the building, let's start this off right. All right. This is called Hot 5. Jokedealersinc presents Hot 5. The comedian that you are seeing right now. Here, cheers, brother.
Because it's gone.
Oh, you got your name on the glasses too? Here, right here, brother. Cheers.
Cheers, baby.
Yes, it is.
What's good with you?
Nothing. So let me tell them what it is. This is called Jokedealersinc Hot 5. I bring it to I'm Hot 5. Like, you know how the comedian come to the club, they're like, yo, give me Hot 5. And you're like, okay. Hot 5. So tell them who you are.
My name is Tone X, a.k.a. your uncle's favorite uncle in a much better suit, a.k.a. the Sock King.
Hey, a.k.a. Carolina Lena Gorilla. There it is.
Come on, man.
I'll shut your ABC down. I'll shut your ABC down.
Cool.
So, look, let's get to it. How long you been doing comedy, sir?
25 years.
25 years. What made you do comedy? Why comedy?
I was a class clown, and my mother worked for the Board of Education. So in high school, her office was downstairs. So I always had the angle of, if I was late, if I didn't have my homework, I could go to my mother's office, do it real quick, and get a pass to class. The downfall was I couldn't get away with nothing. Because the first thing the teachers would say was, you know what I mean, I'm going to go tell your mother.
Okay, your mother, right.
And my mom was the transportation supervisor. So she was in charge of all of the school buses for New Hanover County.
Oh, wow.
And I used to drive a school bus for her. Like everybody in my family drove a school bus.
Yeah.
So I drove a school bus. My mom suspended me one day without pay.
Your mother did?
My mom, this kind of shit I was going through. Like, she was making examples, like, if I let you get away with it,
right,
then they all think they could get away with it. I was like, but they ain't your son.
Right.
I'm supposed to get away with something.
Nothing. It made you a better man for it. How about that?
So I used to catch on to my work real quick. I was one of them cats who was hell-bent on turning their work in first.
Right.
That was my thing. And then I would get bored in class. And so I would start making sound effects, beatboxing, doing the dozens in the cafeteria. I used to drive the activity bus at night. So when the football team would finish, I would take them home. We would do the dozens on the bus. And then when I went to Germany, I started messing around in the NCO clubs. And when I got back stateside, I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, to the Comedy Zone. And that's when Nate Smith was doing it on Tuesday night. Nate Smith is with Kevin Hart right now. Salute to him. Because he's the first cat that let me go up. And when I went up, I was like, man, this is it.
That was it.
So I started from there and it kept going. I won Walter Latham. He had a comedy competition. It was with Zima Clearmalt.
Okay.
If you remember Zima Clearmalt Liquor. And I won it.
It came from the Beanie Man, Zima. Who
Come on, man.
My Beamer?
Clear malt liquor. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then I won the competition. And that opened up the door for me to...
what year was that, Tone? What year was that?
90-something.
Okay.
Not 90 in there. 90 in there, baby. 90 around there. You know what I'm saying? Right in there.
Right in there.
Then I got a chance to go with the Kings of Comedy. And that was crazy.
Right. Tell us a story about the suit when you started going like from the b-boy gear to suits.
I was hip hop all the way. I was Tim's.
Because I remember seeing you on Comic View and you had the sweatsuit and
the fresh Air Force Ones.
Right.
Like when I was on Def Jam, and on Def Jam I had the Spikes joint gear, 40 acres and a mule, Dad. So when I was flying, it was a private jet, and we took it from, I think it was Boston to Minneapolis.
Oh, that's a good flight.
It was the Target Center, because that was the first time I met Kevin Garnett.
Okay.
And Terrell Brandon? Was that his name? And Garnett had these diamonds in his ear that was so big, they wasn't sitting up, they was tilting down. And I was like, God dang, Kevin? And so when we was on the plane, Steve Harvey was telling a story. And he was like, I tell cats all the time, from the time they step out of the room in the morning until the time they go to bed at night after the show, they represent the Kings of Comedy. And he said it's hard to represent the Kings in a sweatsuit. Now, he wasn't talking directly to me. But when I looked around, you know how you look around. I'm the only one on the plane in a sweatsuit. Everybody else looked like extras in Harlem Nights. I'm the only one.
Did you pull your jacket like?
I thought it was fresh too. Like this sweatsuit is fresh. And from when I got to the hotel, and I had a suit, and when I got to the hotel, from that point on,
you were like, I'm suited and booted.
I went into them suits, man, and that started the whole maturation process of grown man comedy.
It's crazy. So tell me how the Monique Show happened. What's between the correlation between, because I knew you were the man in radio in Charlotte. Okay. And then before you came to Atlanta. So explain to me the transition between those two things.
All right. I got a good Monique story too you remember when I used to come up to you and I'd be like, Hank, if you're gonna wear that tie, you gotta put a dimple in it. Steve Harvey stopped me in the hallway taping the Monique Show, and he was like, X, let me see that tie. And he was like, you gotta put a dimple in your tie. He said the dimple in the tie makes the tie look more expensive. I was like, oh.
Okay, see, I've been putting dimples in my ties, and I never knew that it was gonna make my price point go up.
Come on, baby. You know what I mean? It take it from basic to incredible with just a dimple.
Didn't know that. Did not know that.
The dimple in the tie make the material look more expensive.
Noted. For those who watch, hey, wearing a tie, put a dimple in it. Even in the bow ties, the way the dimples hit.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Because if the bow tie looks too perfect, even if you tied it,
it looked fake. It looked like it go around your neck. You didn't tie it. Or bow tie should have a little mess to it, kind of like. Yeah.
Like when cats used to take that cardboard with the pocket square, and they had the little 3 triangles on it, and they slide it down.
Yep.
If you over 30 and you still wearing the little pocket square with the little cardboard, God ain't hearing none of your prayers.
Wait a minute. God ain't hear your prayers.
No. That's why it's taking so long to get your stimulus check, because your prayers backed up. Your prayer backed up. You should have took the blazer off and said the prayer. The blazer was blocking anything that God was trying to pay attention to. He wanted to help you, but he couldn't. He said, "Do."
He just came. He's like, "Is that cardboard?"
And he said it in his Ten Commandment voice. He said, "Is that cardboard?"
Hey, tell me the Monique story, man. How did you get on the Monique Show?
So I was in Charlotte, and the contract was up. And they thought I was going to hit them with the Jay-Z numbers. And before I even got a chance to do any of that, they were like, hey, they're not going to renew your contract.
Because you were the voice for the Hornets, am I right?
I was on the morning show, and I was there from 1997 to 2009. Same station, same spot.
Man.
And then when they told me that, about a couple of days later, I got a phone call. And that was from Monique's husband, Sidney. And he was talking about what they were doing on BET with the Monique Show.
So you knew her before, like you did shows with Monique before?
I had did shows like when I would go up to her room back in the day. I've been knowing Monique over 20 years.
Okay.
So in Baltimore, she had a room called Monique's. It was at the Harbor. And that's where it started. Because I remember one time I went up there to do a show and there wasn't no light bulbs in. She's had this condo. And there were no light bulbs in there.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You know how you go in a hotel room and cut on the lights?
Yeah.
She had no light bulbs and none of the lamps, nothing. So I was like, yo, ain't no lights up here. And she was like, well, then you better go get some light bulbs in here. So the next time I came to do her room, I had light bulbs in my suitcase. So when I was in Charlotte, we had started Tone X and Friends.
Okay.
And it was the longest running urban comedy night in Charlotte. And we
out of what club? Out of what club? That was in you had a room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This was when the Comedy Zone, way back in the day.
Okay.
When I first started. And then it shape-shifted into another club. And we were there. It was the hottest Tuesday night in Charlotte. It was called Freaky Tuesdays. Rest in peace to my man, Nate Quick, who had developed that with Nate Smith.
Okay.
And he allowed me to start hosting. And then it was crazy. And so transition into leaving the radio station, which was Power 98, that was WPEG.
Okay.
And then going down to Atlanta and doing the Monique Show, where I was a writer and I was talent on the show. And so it was a great learning experience because I was with some very talented cats like Akintunde.
Okay. Shout out to
Akintunde. And shout out to Mitch Marchand.
Okay, writer extraordinaire. Okay.
Whole writing team, man.
Stay tuned for part 2 of Joke Dealers Inc. with Tone.